Do you recommend taking it in July if I will not have enough time to prepare, or should I wait for the October LSAT? If you don't think you'll have enough time to prep, I don't really see a benefit to taking it in July. I don't really recommend ever taking the LSAT before you feel like you at least have a decent chance of being fully ready for the LSAT. And so I'd say if you were already registered for July, you could postpone to a later test date and still get to keep some of your money. I'd recommend overall, I saw your follow-up question, how long should your prep time be? I'd recommend prepping for ideally 5 to 6 months. And that's longer than most students take. Most students typically prep over only a 2 to 3 month period. But in my opinion, that's not really enough time. And the LSAT deserves more than that. It warrants more than that, because ultimately your LSAT score is the most important #1 factor in law school admissions. But your GPA takes you 3, 4, 5 years to earn, yet it weighs less heavily. So why would you spend only 2 to 3 months on something that weighs more than all of your undergrad as a whole? So for that reason, I would suggest giving it the time it deserves. Give it 5 to 6 months. You could prep for 3 months, take it, see how you do, and then retake. Retaking is honestly more common than ever because law schools do not average multiple LSAT scores. They only take the highest. And so let's say you've been studying for a little while. Let's say you started in March and you're going for July. You're starting now and going for July. That's 3 months. That's a decent chunk of time. But if you're working or you're in school, then I would suggest giving yourself more time if you need it. 10 to 15 hours a week over 2 to 3 months isn't really enough. I think the LSAT deserves much more than that, considering that it could lead to a single point more, even could lead to thousands of dollars in scholarship money or getting into a better law school. In my opinion, taking it multiple times, even if you think you might have a slightest chance of doing better, it really is well worth it. So let's say that you're scoring around a 160, but you get a 157 on test day. A 157, of course, is not where you were, but you could take it again and get a 163 or even get a 164. It's kind of funny, but LSAT scores, they're not constant. They fluctuate quite a bit, much more than you might expect. And that's frustrating, of course. But what that means is that you could be at a 160 score and have that be your aptitude. But on one day, you take it, you get a 157. The next day you take it, you get a 163 or a 164 even. There's a margin of error of 3.5 points on either end. And so for that reason, I'd recommend taking it 3 times, even if nothing else changed. All you've got to do is stay fresh on the LSAT, take 1 timed exam per week, along with a detailed review of that exam, and you're good to go. So specifically, what does that look like? You have a few LSATs coming up. You have the June LSAT, the July LSAT, and then 3 in the fall, September, October, November. Decide, do you want to take it this summer or take it this fall? If you have time now and you want to take it this summer, go for both June and July if you can, because there is only a 5 to 6 week gap in between those 2 LSAT test administrations. So you've only got to stay fresh on the LSAT for another 5 to 6 weeks. Maybe you take, again, 1 timed exam per week, along with a detailed review of that exam, and that's enough after June 3rd, before July 15th. Alternatively, let's say spring is busy, but you've got more time over the summer and in September. You could take the LSAT in September, October, and November, and there's only about a 1 month gap in between each of those test dates. So you get the benefit of 3 test dates and only building the foundation once. I think either one of those 2 options is a good choice because you've got your foundation, you're fresh on that, you've got your timing down. It's just a question of, in a way, getting lucky and, of course, improving your understanding along the way.